Right now, I got a lot going on. I've been thinking about everything that's going on. What am I looking to do? What is happening as of right now? And so yesterday I was talking about this whole situation, about what's going on with the real estate contract. And I have been talking with my agent about this whole thing. And it's kind of turned into an interesting situation because I've sat and I thought about this for practically the entire day yesterday. I thought about this and I said, what am I going to do about this whole situation, right? How do I see the situation from my perspective? What do I see? So as of right now, I am renegotiating the contract. And here is the thing. I'm just going to give you the entirety of the details, because I believe that is what I do, right? I mean, the whole thing about me is that I'm just going to give you the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth, right? For whatever it may be, I'm going to tell you the truth. So the entirety of the situation right now was that I have said that I have put money down for the option contract, right? I have put money in for an option contract. So I have money in for an option contract, and I did not understand. I misunderstood I misunderstood. And this whole thing about the option contract is that an option contract does not get counted towards the down payment of the property. I thought that if I put money into an option contract, if I went through with the deal, that the option contract money would be included as the down payment for the property. And so right now I'm in a situation where the option contract money is not being put in as a down payment for the property. And so right now I have taken a look at my situation, and it's like, well, here is an interesting opportunity now, because here is how I see it. This is actually a very interesting opportunity. Because as of right this moment, I have nothing to lose. If I want to cancel this contract and walk away from it, then I lose nothing. I can just go and buy myself a 250-acre field, and I can continue forward with the plans that I had made. Right? I talked about this. If I was, I was strategizing on how could I buy a large field, right? I'm talking about somewhere around $2.5 to $3.5 million, right? I was talking about how can I buy this field. And I was I was considering my different options, and the strategy that I had come up with was I was going to buy 1/4 of it at a time every 4 years, right? Effectively, I was going to, or every 5 years, or every 4 years, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, a 16-year contract, 20-year contract, it doesn't matter. So I was taking a look at this whole situation, and I was like, as of right now, I legitimately have nothing to lose. I have nothing to lose. It's like I'm in a corner with God, and that's it. It's just me and God in a corner. I have nothing to lose. Even if this deal falls through, it's a minuscule amount of money. I have 32 grand on the line. It's not a large amount of money. It's a very minuscule amount of money. It doesn't matter. Even if I lose the money, it doesn't matter. That amount of money, it doesn't matter, right? 30 grand, it doesn't matter. So the whole thing about my situation right now is that I'm going to renegotiate the contract. And here is, because me, I always talk about different aspects, right? Sometimes I talk about spirituality. Sometimes I talk about business. Sometimes I talk about my personal perspective. Sometimes I talk about things, business, whatever it may, stocks, whatever it may be. So here is what is going on with me right now. I have taken a look at my entire situation. And I believe that right now it is okay, because yesterday I was talking about I was going to take away my future deal away from this individual because of what they did. And I saw that as just punishment. As of right now, from what I have seen, I found myself in a very interesting situation. And I talk about this idea of God, of the cosmic wind, right? I talk about this idea of karma and my spiritual belief system. And I believe that as of right now, the universe has set it so that I should give my agent a second chance. I am going to cast my judgment aside, and I am going to give my agent a second chance. That's what I've decided that I'm going to do. This is her opportunity. This is this individual's opportunity to legitimately have a second chance. I am going to cast my judgment aside. I am going to give this individual a second chance. Because here's the thing about me. I talk about the idea of me not being a malicious individual, right? I'm not a malicious individual. I do not look to be cruel on purpose, right? I talk about this whole, I talk about I don't slap people in the face with money. Even if I make 200 times more money than this individual, I'm not gonna be like, I'm not gonna work with this person because I make 200 times more money than them. Right, I talk about all of these different things, right? I talk about all of these different aspects. Like me, I'm not a malicious individual. I'm not cruel on purpose. I don't choose to go raised earth with every single person that I don't choose to do that. In all reality, I don't want to have to leave people for dead, right? I talk about this in reality, it's like in my situation, I don't want to have to leave everybody for dead. All right, legitimately, that's not who I am. I'm not a cruel person. I'm not malicious. I'm just a normal dude who makes a drastic amount of money, right? I mean, if you take a look at what I'm doing, and sometimes I talk about my personal business in terms of my personal business as a business owner, in terms of a monetary sense, in terms of making money. I've always said that in terms of making money is very important to me. It's not as important as God, but almost anything else, money is more important than anything else that I could possibly come up with other than God. Right, I legitimately just spend about 99.99999% of my time thinking about making money. Other than that, I mean, the only thing that I see legitimately from an absolute sincerity standpoint is God. That is more important than money. All right, me going on a vacation is not very important. All right, me whatever, right? I mean, me sitting on a couch is not very important. If I'm sitting on a couch, I'm thinking about making money, right? I mean, this is how, and maybe when I tell you what is going on with me, it's going to make more sense. I believe that because of how everything has turned out, because here is the thing, if I'm going to go and I'm going to find somebody that is going to represent me on a $3 million deal, and this individual, I want to run him through the ringer first, right? I don't want to just show up on a $3.5 million deal. I don't just want to show up on a $2.5 million deal with an idiot, right? I don't, and so here is my thing. When I take a look at the entire situation and I see it from my perspective, I believe that it is my I believe that it is my duty, spiritual duty, to just cast my judgment aside and give this person a second chance, right? Because I don't want to have to leave this person for dead. The thing is that I'm not a cruel person. I'm not a malicious individual. I believe in just punishment. That is my whole thing. I believe in just punishment. I don't believe in cruelty, right? I don't want to have to leave everybody for dead. All right, and that's also one of the big reasons why I make these videos, right? Because at the end of the day, if I run cattle, I make so much money, I can do whatever the heck I want, more or less, short of like drugs, alcohol, gambling. A lot of you probably, when I talk about money, it probably goes right over your head. If this video takes me 40 minutes, if this video takes me 1 hour to make, in that 1 hour, I would have made myself about $1,000. I make money even when I'm sleeping. All right, I don't know how else, and I've already talked about these various aspects of making money. If you have a business, and as a business owner, and I've talked about driving up your revenue, right? If you can drive up your earnings, that is, in reality one of the most efficient ways of making money via a business. You drive up your earnings. Why? Because all of your earnings, the equitable value of your business is going to be a multiple of the earnings, and if you can grow your business, your multiples are going to be higher. Right? I talked about this in terms of a reality sense of looking at it. I talked about this in terms of my business, right? What, if I evaluated, let's say that I did something ridiculous and let's say I went to the bank and the bank said, your business is worth $2 million. And this is why my business is not worth $2 million. My business is worth significantly more than $2 million, because think about it like this. If my business was worth $2 million, that would mean I would sell 10% of my business for 200 grand. And when I take a look at what I am doing, right, I take a look at my balance sheet, I take a look at my future plans, I take a look at what I have going on right now. If I sold 10% of my business for 200 grand, that means by next year, right, if you take a look at my balance sheet, I'm expanding the amount of land that I have. I'm net positive cash flow, a significant amount of money, right? I mean, let's take a look at it for what it is. Let's just take a look at it in terms of numbers. You see, and you will see how ridiculous this is. Why my business is worth significantly more than $2 million. Think about it like this. If, let's say we take a look at my balance sheet as it is right now. Right, I take a look at my balance sheet as it is right now. If I sold 10% of my business for 200 grand, that means next year, and I've already talked about this in terms of, like a God as my witness. If I had just ran my business as it is, I just ran my business on this 10.5 acre farm, and I took the money, instead of putting it in towards the option contract, I just bought more cattle with it. If I had done that, and then I took a loan for that amount of money to put me at a net zero, I would be sitting here right now with about 140 cattle. That is another way to look at how much money I make. And that wouldn't even put me at a negative. That would just put me at a net zero. So let's think about it. If I sold 10% of my business for 200 grand, you see how ridiculous that sounds? Why would I sell 10% of my business for 200 grand? That is worthless. My business is worth significantly more than that. I make 200 grand in 5 months. Right, I mean, even right now, I would make 200 grand net positive income after I've paid for everything. I would make that much money in like a year and a half, and I'm on a 10.5 acre field. You see what I'm saying? You see how ridiculous that sounds? I mean, it's God as my witness. If I legitimately had taken the money that I had made in this business, and instead of putting it in an option contract for a new piece of property, I had gone and I had purchased more cattle, and then I had taken a loan for that amount to put me at a net zero, and I had invested that money into more cattle, I would be sitting here right now with 135 cattle, and 140 cattle, and I would not even be in the negative. I would just be at a net zero. You see what I'm saying? $2 million is stupidly low. It would be the worst deal that I have ever seen in my entire life. If you legitimately look at my business, if somebody legitimately was looking at my business and told me that they thought my business was worth $2 million, I would leave you for dead. Well, maybe I would give you a second chance first, and then it's like, if you cannot be saved, I'm not here to save people. If you cannot be saved, at that point, I will leave you for dead. I will give you a second chance, and then after that, if you legitimately cannot turn yourself around, I will leave you for dead. You see how ridiculous it sounds to think about my business as being evaluated at $2 million? That is stupidly, that is almost ignorant. Let's take a look at my balance sheet. Let's take a look at what I'm doing. Let's take a look at my cash flow. Let's take a look at, what it is that I got going on. If I had taken the money that I had made and not put it in an option contract and just purchased more cattle with it, taken a loan for that amount of money and invested that money into more cattle to just put me at a net zero, I would be sitting here right now with 140 cattle with a net zero balance. All right, let's take a look at the numbers for what they are, right? I mean, for the love of God, I mean, here's the thing, and it's, and I always, it's like after a second chance, that's just, here's the thing about me, and maybe when I go through my situation right now, maybe it will be more clear. All right, it will be more clear. I'm going to give this person a second chance, a legitimate second chance. But if they do not, I'm going to give them a second chance. I'm going to cast my judgment aside. I believe that the universe has made it my responsibility. I believe that God has made it my responsibility, my spiritual responsibility, to give this person a second chance. Because the thing about me, I talk about this, I'm not a cruel person. I'm not a malicious individual. And for whatever, God as my witness, for whatever it may mean, with the utmost sincerity of my existence, I was even planning to just give bonuses to people who helped me. Right? Like my accountant, I was planning to give the accountant a bonus. God as my witness, God knows that I was going to give my accountant a bonus. The accountant that helped me, develop an understanding of my LLC, I was going to give them a bonus. I was going to give my real estate agent a bonus. Those were the two people that I was going to give a bonus this year because they helped me. And as my business grew, the bonuses, and I was even considering, increasing the bonuses, finding different strategic ways to increase bonuses for people. Like my agent, I was legitimately considering having this, and I will give her one more chance. I will give this person one more chance. But if they do not turn around, this is how my mind works. I'm going to give them another chance, but if they do not turn around effectively on a dime, I'm going to leave them for dead at that point. All right, I'm going to give this person a second chance. I'm just going to cast my judgment aside. Right? Because now it's kind of an interesting situation. Because right now, this 350 grand is a negligible amount of money. Let's just be honest. 350 grand is a worthless amount of money. $32,000, that is, I have $30,000 on the line, $32,000 on the line. It is a worthless amount of money. I don't care about the money. What I'm looking at is in the future, I'm going to need somebody to represent me on a multi-million-dollar deal. Right? And I want to find a capable individual. I talk about this. I want to find myself a capable individual. And maybe this person, if, I got this calf who always tries to suckle on this heifer. But, I want to find a capable individual, okay? And I believe that the universal wind, the cosmic wind, God, spirituality, whatever it is that you want to call it, or what, that is my belief system, right? I believe that it is my spiritual duty to just cast my judgment, because I am being completely honest. I'm being completely sincere. I don't look to be a malicious individual. I call it, I don't slap people in the face with money. I understand that I probably do make about 100 times more money than this individual, but I don't really care about that. Right? I don't really care about that. That's not, I'm not gonna think less of this person because they're, I make 100 times more money than them. All right, so I believe that it is my spiritual duty to give this person a second chance. I'm going to give this person a second chance. I'm going to cast my judgment aside, and I'm going to give them a second chance. Because the thing about me is that I don't intentionally go around and go raised earth with every individual. I sincerely, I hope that I do not have to go raised earth with people. I hope not. That's not my initial, that's not what I do. But if it comes down to it, right, I talked about this all the time. If it comes down to it, God knows it, I know it, I will do it. All right, and God can judge me for whatever it may be. God can cast judgment on me. I don't care about the judgment of man. If it comes down to it, I will do it. But it is not something that I want to do with. It is not my initial go-to. I don't show up at a deal. I don't look at somebody and say, this person makes 100 times less money than me. I think pathetically of them. I think that this person is a pathetic, right? I don't initially, I don't do that. If it comes down to it, I will do it. That's my whole thing, right? This person, I'm going to give them another chance. I'm going to give them one more chance. And if they do anything like this again, I will legitimately leave them for dead. Spiritually, I will make the choice to leave them for dead. All right, so that's the whole, because the whole thing, how it turned out, it's actually turned out to be a very interesting situation. I've taken a look at it from a spiritual lens. I've taken a look at it. When I take a look at my situation, it's actually turned out to be very interesting for me. because in the future I'm looking to do myself, I have a logical plan in place. I have certain goals that need to be met. I have certain benchmarks. I have certain objectives that need to be met. But if those objectives are met, then I can progress forward and buy myself a very large piece of land in about a year and a half. If I wake up in a year and a half, right, and I've talked about what the big idea for the business is. If I sell 33 of these animals, I have 33 animals, and when I sell these 33 animals, I am anticipating that I need to have at least 50 animals left when it's all said and done with the money that I make on these animals, right? 50 animals. If I have 50 animals, so that would be 33, and so I'm going to go from 33 to 50. I'm looking to sell these 33 animals, and I'm looking to effectively, when it's all said and done, I have 50 animals. And when I have 50 animals, I'm going to take a loan for another 50 animals. That will put me at 100 animals, right? I've talked about this. What are the plans, right? And the objectives that need to be met. When I go through, as I progress, I am going to take a look. Are the objectives being met? Are the goals being reached? And if they are being reached, if they are met, then within about a year and a half, I am anticipating that I have all of the equipment that I need, and I have a significant amount of money left in storage. I am sitting on a significant amount of money, and then I'm going to go and buy myself a very large piece of land, right? I talked about this. It's going to take me probably about a year and a half. Right, there are certain goals that need to be met. There are certain objectives that need to be met. There are certain things that need to happen. But these things, they are not wildly out of, they're not in they're not in la la land. They are very realistic. It's not some wild, I'm not going on some mystical, magical journey. These are very realistic objectives that need to be met. And when I reach these goals, should I reach these goals, then I will be ready to progress forward, right, onto a very large deal. And when I progress onto this very large deal, the deal is going to mean a lot to me. And so the big idea was that I would give this agent enough money, whoever represents me for the deal, I would give them enough money to where they wouldn't have to worry about anything else for the entire year. I would pay them enough money. I would give them enough money so that they don't have to worry about anything for the entire year other than making sure that my deal goes through. Right? That was the big idea. And so I believe that things have turned kind of interesting because of this whole situation. I believed that the option contract money was going to be utilized as a portion of the down payment, but it's not. My agent, this person that I have been doing business with, kind of put it almost borderline, put me in a situation where I was going to leave him for dead. Legitimately, I was going to leave this person for dead. But when I sit there and I really think about it from a spiritual lens, I believe that it is my spiritual duty to give this person a second chance. I'm going to give them a second chance. But if they do not turn on a dime, then I will leave them for dead. That's the whole deal, all right? And the thing about me is that I don't look to be a cruel person. I don't look to be a malicious individual. But the thing is that you have to understand that the average person is not a good person. Legitimately not a good person. The average person has is not a good person. Let's just be, if the average person would legitimately sell their soul for even 200 grand. They would, legitimately would sell their soul for whatever, any list amount of $1 million, whatever it may be, right? The average person is not a good person, and I'm not here to save people. That's my thing, is that I'm not here to save people. I will give this person a second chance, but if they do not effectively turn on a dime immediately, then I'm going to leave them for dead. That's the plan. All right, because things have kind of turned interesting, right? Things have kind of turned interesting. I have my future goals. What am I looking to accomplish in the future? How am I going to reward the people that help me, etc., etc., right? What's the compensation and why am I going to give them that compensation, right? Etc., etc. right? I'm thinking about all of these different things. How much money am I anticipating that I make, etc. Whatever it may be. Right? Certain goals need to be met, certain objectives need to be reached. But if I reach these goals and I reach these objectives, then I'm good to go. And these goals and these objectives are not massively out. They're not in la la land. These are very realistic things that I can do. Right? So the whole situation is that it is kind of an interesting situation. All right, it's kind of an interesting situation. And I believe that it is my spiritual duty to just give this person a second chance. If they do not turn on a dime, then I leave them for dead. Legitimately, all right? I mean, I burn the bridges. All right, I get, that's another good way to put it. I burn the bridges. I leave them for dead. Because here's the thing. When I take a look at my situation, if I just took, when I run cattle, I make such a drastic amount of money that I can effectively do anything on the entire planet. Anything. When I take a look at my situation right now, if I had taken the money that I had put in for the option contract and just purchased more cattle, taken a loan for that amount and put myself at a net zero, I would be sitting here right now with 140 cattle. Think about it. I make over like a 100% return on my money every 9 months. I make I make over 100% return on my money every year. All right, and it's if you want to know what it's like to have to go by yourself as a first generation farmer and make $10 million a year running commercial cattle by yourself, if you want to know what that is like, then go and do it. All right, don't sit there and go, oh my God, it's not fair. This guy makes 200 times more money than me. That's not fair. Right? Go and do it. You'll see what I mean. I legitimately do not know a single person who has gotten into farming because it was easy. I legitimately am the only person that made it. From my I'm not going to say made it, but I'm the only, in terms of doing this well, it's almost unheard of to see somebody who genuinely made a multi-million dollars running commercial cattle on a 10.5 acre field. I'm the only one. Legitimately, if you want to think about the money, do you think about it like this? Let's say that you were me. Let's say, or whatever, right? I mean, let's say whoever, if you're watching my YouTube, whatever, whoever it may be, let's say you were me and you were in my situation. Would you sell 10% of your business for 200 grand? That would be a $2 million evaluation. If my business was really worth $2 million, I would be willing to sell 10% of it for 200 grand. Would you do that? No, you wouldn't. Why would you do that? That would be the most idiotic thing that you could ever do. And if you said yes, you would do that, congratulations, you're poor. Go and die by yourself as a poor person. You're not broke, you're legitimately poor. Right? I mean, think about it. Do I look like I would sell 10% of my business for 200 grand? That would be ridiculous. And if I would, then my business is worth $2 million. Right? I mean, let's think about it. And so, I'm just giving you my perspective. And the whole thing about my perspective is that the reason that I give you my perspective is because at the end of the day, more or less okay, this video right now, it's on 29 minutes. Let's just say 30 minutes. In the last 30 minutes, while I have been making this video, I have effectively made myself about $500. I fell asleep last night and I slept for 8 hours, and by the time I woke up, I had made myself about $8,000. If I really want money, I'll just go and get more money. It doesn't matter. All right, and so I'm giving you my perspective because if I give you my perspective, maybe you see some kind of opportunity in your life. This might legitimately be your one chance in your entire life to legitimately see something like this and to understand something like this. And when you see something like this, it will rub off on you. right? And then maybe you go out into your world and then you see some opportunities. No, you don't have to worry about making $10 million a year. You don't have to worry about making $5 million a year. Realistically, if you make $200,000 a year net take-home pay, if you make $150,000 a year net take-home pay, and you do that knowledgeably, and you have a long, you can do that over a long period of time, then it's effectively already enough money that you can do whatever the heck you want. All right, that's how the money works out. And so, when I show you what I got going on, it's just to give you the opportunity. Maybe when you see, if you see an opportunity like this, then you'll take it, and then you'll understand this is how you knowledgeably make money, right? Like my whole situation right now with me, with my personal situation, with my personal business. Why am I buying a new piece of land? Right, because in terms of a monetary sense, it's important that I drive up my revenue. It's important that I increase my earnings. How am I going to knowledgeably increase my earnings? How am I going to realistically increase my earnings? I am going to increase the target weight of my animal, and I am going to increase the number of animals that I have. When I run my business, how do I keep things efficient? I minimize the amount of equipment that I buy. I raise my animals on grass. I grow the grass for the animals by myself. I do not rely on the commodity markets. I don't sit there and just hope and pray that the price of corn stays low. I don't sit there and hope and pray that whatever, right? I mean, these are logical things that I did to drive up my revenue. I drove up my earnings very, 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 significantly. And the reason that I drive up my earnings is because as a business owner, that is the most realistic way to increase the equitable value of your business. And when you have an equitable business, the whole idea of having an equitable business is what? You can use it as collateral. Right, if you have a net positive cash flow of, let's just say, whatever, $400,000 a year. Like me, when I go into the bank and they ask me whatever, right? If you go into the bank and you talk to the banker and you want to buy something, if you have $10 million worth of collateral, you show the banker, hey, I can legitimately make $10 million worth of stuff. And I am net positive, $25,000 a month cash, net positive. I have $25,000 a month left over. Then effectively, then when you talk to the banker, you ask for a tax deduct. You're looking to purchase another equitable asset. And this equitable asset, the reason you are purchasing it is what? Because you legitimately have a realistic idea of making a positive return with the asset. Why do you want to do that? Because when you do that, you can pay the bank back with the money that you make on the asset. Right? I talk about all of these different things, right? Effectively, the money after a certain point doesn't do anything. And when you have a large amount of equity, you can effectively use that as collateral for whatever it is that you want to buy. Right, and if you want to think about the equitable evaluation of my business, think about being me. Think about being the business owner. You take a look at what I'm doing. You take a look at what I do. You take a look at my situation and determine the equitable valuation of my business. If you want to think about the equitable evaluation of my business, think about it like this. Do you think I would sell 10% of my business for $200,000? No, that would be ridiculous, right? Why would I do that? That is the worst deal that I have ever heard in my entire life. $200,000 for 10% would mean that my business is worth $2 million. Think about it. Do I look like I would sell 10% of my business for $200,000? I can make $200,000 in the cattle business in 3 months. Not even in 4 months, 5 months, something like that, right? I mean, why would I sell 10% of my business for $200,000? That's ridiculous, right? My business is worth more than $2 million, significantly more. If I was legitimately going to sell 10% of my business today as an honest, as an honest sincerity, I would sell 10% of my business today for $25 million, not 200, $25 million. I would sell 10% of my business today for $25 million. Legitimately. All right, you know, and it's take it or leave it. I don't, you know, don't offer me your BS deal. No, I don't care. It's like if you legitimately, you know, like if you know, why would I sell 10% of my business for even 2 million? I wouldn't do that. That's a worthless amount of money. Right? I mean, let's just be honest, right? I mean, if I really wanted $2 million to whatever, right? I wanted to go and buy myself a new piece of land, I would just go to the bank and take a loan. I wouldn't sell 10% of my business. Right? I mean, you know, it's a worthless amount of money. Right? I mean, if I was legitimately going to sell 10% of my business, I would do it for 25 million. All right, and so, you know, that's my situation, and that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.